Okay.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to call the regular meeting of the Community Board of Regents to order. It is February 23, 2023, 5:31 p.m. And our venue is the RFK Silent Room. Okay, with that, I would like to begin the meeting with item 2.0. Review of the meeting minutes. We have 2.1 regular meeting minutes of November 17, and 2.2 the special meeting minutes of January 17, 2023. That I'd like to just a few minutes for the board to just go through no any comments.
Move to approve the regular meeting minutes of November 17, 2022.
You have a second?
Yes, I second that motion.
Okay. For discussion, I would like to point out a few items in the minutes. And you go to 5.3 physical facilities committee. 9. Like to point out that in committee update, third paragraph. And it was noted that the time frame was 24 months, but I'd like to change that out to days, just because in the fourth paragraph, 785 days for the SSC contractor. So it's the same contractor, which that's just do the math and just note it as days rather than months.
Just for clarification, the two different contractors.
Oh. That's right. There's one last item, the last paragraph in item in page 9. He further reported that the SSC tenants will be moved to OG's 13 inner village, but I believe it should really read as the tenants were initially planned to be moved, because they're not actually moving there, right? They're relocated to other parts of the campus. So if we can just change that phrase. The SSC tenants will be moved to SSC tenants were initially planned to be moved. Comments. Do we have any other comments or revisions? Okay, otherwise maybe we can amend the motion to accept the minutes as amended or revised.
I move to accept the waiver. Accept the minutes as amended.
Yes, I second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Regent Eli says aye.
Regent Sercheza, aye. Regent Diaz, aye.
Heaver, aye.
Supervito, aye.
Regent Paul, aye.
Young Guerrero, aye.
Student Regent Laksamana, aye.
Thank you. The ayes have it. The motion carries. Oh, I'm sorry, Regent Valencia.
Regent Valencia, aye. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, the ayes have it. Motion carries unanimously. Now moving on to the minutes of the January 17 special meeting.
Regent Diaz, I move to approve the minutes with 10 corrections.
Regent McKeever, second.
Okay, thank you, and discussion. One question I do have, and this is probably for Dave. Chief of Staff, you know, is the findings of fact going to be attached together with the minutes?
Is the what?
The findings of facts, that was reported out by Regent Diaz, you know, the minutes did state that Regent Diaz proceeded to report on the Board of Regents grievance committee's findings and recommendations, and I'm just wondering if the attached, the fact findings of fact would be attached together with the minutes for reference.
The general counsel can validate that, but because it's a personnel action, it should not be attached other than the board approved the action.
That is correct.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, any other discussion? Okay, if not, I'd like to go ahead and call for a vote.
Regent Levi, aye.
Regent Surtesa, aye.
Regent Diaz, I.
Regent McKeever, aye.
Chair Capito, aye.
Regent Hall, I.
Regent Leongeraro, aye.
Student Regent Marcana, aye.
Regent Valencia, I.
And thank you. All those, okay, so motion carries unanimously. Okay. Moving on now to item 3.0, chairperson remarks, and that would be myself. So again, I'd like to welcome everyone, and this is really our first in-person Board of Regents regular meeting. And so I'd like to just say that we're, going to sort of transition to face-to-face meetings, and so with this hybrid format, there could be some technical challenges, but I think we're all going to have to get used to our new normal. And I hope everyone continues to remain safe and healthy, and we appreciate everything you're doing to keep the mission of our university moving ahead. We look forward to our first post-public health emergency Charter Day on March 2nd, with many visitors and future Tritons coming to our campus and attending our activities. And I understand that our Student Government Association had also had to turn down several vendors who wanted to participate in our celebration, and they were turned out due to lack of space. The word is definitely getting out, and we appreciate the community's continued interest in UNG. Many of our regions will be attending the 2023 National Conference on Trusteeship in the first week of April, and we hope to bring back some lessons learned, conversations with our trustees from this networking event to apply to our board and university. We also look forward to further updates on the WASC Senior College and University Commission accreditation visit that is coming soon, as well as the accreditation status of our School of Engineering, the start of 4 major construction projects to support our students, our academic programs, and water resource support to the community. For our regions, please review the Board of Regents 2023-24 academic calendar for our meetings that was provided to you. We'll be voting to approve the calendar at our April 2023 meeting, as well as conduct the election officers. Also, for the record, Regent Valencia has been approved by myself to participate in the meeting via Zoom. So this concludes my remarks. And next is item 4.0, President's Report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Regents, for your service and attention to all the matters of our university. As is usual, I'll begin with our report for the in memoriam session, where we remember the members of our community who passed away since the last formal meeting of the regular meeting of the Board of Regents. First is Rosita Taitano Blas, mother of Janet B. St. Nicholas, program coordinator with the Admissions and Records Office. Also, Dr. Margaret Torres Otero, retired associate professor at the School of Education. And Richard H. Randall, retired faculty member in the Marine Laboratory and emeritus professor of marine biology. Dr. Margaret Hattori Uchima, Dean of the School of Health. Milagros Moguel, Professor Emerita of Consumer and Family Science. Joseph Cruz San Nicolas, father of Thomas San Nicolas with Facilities Management and Services. Joseph Leon Guerrero, father of John Leon Guerrero, Building Maintenance Superintendent of Facilities Management and Services. Could I ask a moment of silence to remember these members of our community who have left us? Thank you. Since our last meeting and formal regular meeting in November, we've had the final events of our 70th anniversary. So that we spent a whole calendar year of 2022 celebrating the 70th anniversary of the university, including the Platinum Jubilee finale on December the 3rd. We also finished up the semester, the finance on semester, and commencement, and finished with all of our ceremonies, and it was a very successful semester and successful Jubilee year. Beginning of January, we hosted the leadership of the Asia Pacific Islander Americans Scholars Program, and the group was here visiting in Guam and then also in Saipan for their first visit to the region. And so that was, I think, a really good opportunity for us to showcase our students and potential opportunities for scholarships for them. And I think also that that suggesting that the APA scholars access to a number of private foundations, large private foundations, presents an opportunity for the university going forward to develop some more capacity for attracting large grants and perhaps even research grants for from private foundations. As the chairperson mentioned, that a week from today is Charter Day, so it's one of the earliest Charter Days that we've had, so it'll be March the 2nd, and our opening ceremony will be at 9 o'clock in the morning in front of this library. So it'll be where it was the last year, that sort of under the trees in front of RFK Library. We moved it a little bit because of the construction work that's going on at the around the Student Success Center, and so that's been moved. And you can also see that the huts are starting to be built. So the frames are up, and there'll be the hut competition. There'll, of course, be all the booths of the food and the labs and library tours and everything that you can participate in. So it's a great opportunity to showcase the university and to check in on things that you might have not been wondering about. This is, as you can tell from the agenda, we're in the middle of the budget season. So we'll be providing regions with more information on to help be able to make the case for the university. We'll be asking for a significant increase in the basic appropriation for the university. So making the case for the university is very important, especially important this year. And so we're also grateful for the region's individual and collective support and advocacy for the budget process, and we'll do everything we can to support you and students and anyone else interested in making the case for the university. We are also planning to, we have started doing some more briefings for new members of the legislature, and then those will also be open to continuing members of the legislature or returning members of the legislature for tours to orient them to the university. I was also pleased to be able to give a talk to the Rotary Club of Tumont Bay, and I was pleased with the media coverage of that talk, and that also is, I think, helps with the advocacy for the budget. So that's another place to find some support for the budget effort. Big things going on this semester, as I've been emphasizing all the way along, are, of course, our WASC accreditation report. It's due at the end of June, and so 59-member committee is hard at work on that, and the work is on schedule. The ABET, this is the accrediting board for engineering and technology for the School of Engineering. That application is also on track, and thanks to everybody involved in advancing that project. And that next report will be also due in the summer. And then we also have the Carnegie Community Engagement Classification application, which will also be due at the end of this semester. And there's a large committee working on that as well. Another big project for this semester, of course, is the negotiation of the faculty union Board of Regents agreement for the faculty. And so the negotiators for both sides have been appointed, and they're aiming to complete the process during this semester. So that's a lot of big work going on this semester. And then on top of all that, we have 4 big building projects that are moving forward, and we're also coping with cost increases due to the inflation we're all suffering, but we've been getting very good indications of support from the governor and lieutenant governor, and we're hoping for also some help from the Endowment Foundation, and doing everything we can to make sure that we can complete those projects. The Guam Cultural Repositories new employees are onboarding now. So 6 new employees. We're very pleased with the memorandum of understanding we have with the Department of Chamorro Affairs for this partnership for managing that facility. And thanks to Dean Monique Story for her effort in leading that, managing it. Just for your information, they anticipate that the facility will be nearly 80% full once all of the materials that are stored around the island are delivered to the facility. So there'll be a lot of hard work going into filling up that facility. We also have very good work, progress on the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Initiative. We've been a member with a small number of other institutions with the group called SSEI, which is a group of the American Association of State Colleges and Universities, working on advancing our diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts in the university. And so the surveys for that have been very in-depth, and we've had committees responding to them, and so we're learning a lot about things that we can do to do a better job to support all of our students and help them feel included. The Island Wisdom Initiative is, of course, continuing as well. We have, of course, the new certificate in traditional Micronesian seafaring. And just yesterday, we were pleased that the Guam Green Growth Initiative launched the Soamte project at Government House. Governor and Lieutenant Governor present, planting of a tree and so on. So these are just a couple of examples of the Island Wisdom Initiative that is moving forward. We also have the completion of the new canoe house in Petey at the Pedro Sanchez Park. So that's worth stopping by and seeing as well. And then more work that's being done by the Guam Green Growth Initiative, which is the public-private partnership co-chaired by Governor Leon Guerrero and myself. And then the steering committee is co-chaired by the Lieutenant Governor Josh DeGorio and Dr. Austin Shelton, the director of the Center for Island Sustainability. So they're doing a lot of work with the Guam Green Growth Conservation Corps, expanding the number of community gardens or villages, and garnering quite a bit of very positive support. We also had, just as an example of many events that we have going at the university all the time, the really great second annual birds event at Jeff's Pirates Cove last week ago Saturday, and that was also very well attended and larger this year than last. Dr. Enriquez and I both were interviewed by Time Magazine that's preparing an article on Guam and featuring the University of Guam. So we're looking forward to that issue coming out soon. And that's just a couple of examples of things related to our great publicity. We're doing very, very well in getting our press releases adopted by the media. So we're well over 90% of our press releases are being picked up. So you have plenty of ways to be informed about what's going on at the university. But we also have the Big G Weekly that comes out, which weekly is in the name. And that's a great way to check on coverage and things that might not be readily available to you. And that's also getting a pretty high open rate. So that's also quite good. And I think we'll have a report on the presidential search committee as part of this meeting, but that process is well underway. And I'm very pleased with the committee and how well that's getting going. And so I think that concludes my report, unless there are any questions from members.
Thank you, Dr. Kreis. So there being no questions, I'd like to move on to agenda item 5.0, reports from standing committees, beginning with 5.1, the SART committee, Regent Molina.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The regular meeting of the SART committee met on February 15 at the PCR room, University of Guam, via Zoom and in-person attendance. A quorum was present. One resolution number 23-02, relative to approving the fiscal year 2024 Student Financial Assistance Program budget, was introduced and reviewed by the committee. It was moved to present this resolution to the board for approval. I move to approve resolution number 23-02.
Do we have a second?
Yes, Regent Hall seconds the motion.
Thank you. Let's moving on to discussion.
This resolution has been through the review process. The request was submitted by Mr. Mark Duarte, who is the Director of Financial Aid, and was reviewed and endorsed by the Dean of EMSS, Dr. Enriquez and Dr. Kreis, and as well as our committee and the BFA committee. Also, if you turn to page 33, it would summarize what was being asked, which is basically 4.5 million for the Student Financial Assistance Program. Also, if you look, the operating expenses are within the 10% limit. There's an increase in the amounts for each of the programs, except for the First Generation Trust Fund, which is stable because it's funded by both the three organizations: University of Guam, GCC, and DOE. And that's basically the points that Mr. Mark Duarte made during the summary of this resolution.
Thank you, Regent Molina. Do you have any other questions or concerns regarding the resolution? Okay, if not, I'd like to call for a vote. Beginning with Regent Molina, we'll just continue with a roll call vote.
Regent Malila, aye.
Mr. Chesa, aye.
Regent Diaz, aye.
Regent McKeever, aye.
Chair Promito, aye.
Regent Hall, aye.
Guerrero, aye. Student Regent Laksamana, aye.
Regent Valencia, I.
Thank you, Regents. The ayes have it and motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Regent Molina. Okay, moving on to item 5.2, the Academic Personnel and Tenure Committee. Regent Guerrero was not present during the committee meeting, and so I served as acting chair. And so with that, I'd like to do now is turn the chair over to Vice Chair McKeever to serve as acting chair.
So I would like to call for item number 5.2 for APT committee. And what 5.2.1 for a committee update.
Thank you. Okay, as acting chair of the APT committee, I'd like to introduce a motion to approve resolution number 23-03 relative to consolidating number of positions on the University of Guam Administrators salary scale.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I hear a second?
Regent Hall seconds the motion.
Okay, so we have a motion and now we'd like to have some discussion.
Okay, so the resolution involves changes and updates to the administrator salary scale. Many of the positions on it was first introduced after UOG reorganized in 2002 and 2003 by resolutions number 03-09 and 03-16. And some positions were added and modified over time. In November 2022, many of the original positions have been found to be better managed under the new professional, technical, federal, and externally funded category. And some positions are needed because the projected work has been absorbed by other types of positions. The UOG Administrative Council has reviewed this action and recommended that it sent to the President for consideration to forward to the Board of Regents Academic Personnel and Tenure Committee. And the Board of Regents Academic Personnel and Tenure Committee has reviewed the action and recommends this be sent to the Board of Regents.
Okay, so we have a motion, we have a second, and we'd like to do a vote by roll call, and starting with Regent Malilai.
Regent Malilai, aye.
Regent Surtesa, aye. Regent Diaz, aye.
Regent McKeever, aye.
Regent
Naholua, aye.
Regent Leon Guerrero, aye.
Student Regent Laksamana, aye.
Regent Valencia, I.
Okay, so the ayes have it. Any oppositions or nays? Okay, any abstentions? The ayes have it. Thank you.
And that concludes my committee update. Sure.
Thank you. I'll give the chair back to you.
Should I accept it? Thank you, Deb. Okay, moving to item 5.3, Physical Facilities Committee, 5.3.1, Committee Update, Regent Diaz.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So the Physical Facilities Committee met on February 15th, 3 at 4 p.m. at the President's Conference Room. So begin with the Facilities Management and Services Update for the USDA projects, which includes the School of Engineering and the Student Success Center. The updates are that the Interior Financing Agreement with Greater Nevada Union is still ongoing. USDA, USEDA, UOG others are working to resolve the property issues for collateral. The project schedule is continuing to move forward as these issues are being worked through. For the School of Engineering, the design is at 7%. Construction completion is anticipated to be in September of 2024. For the Student Services Center, the design is also at 7%. The SSC tenants have been relocated. The demolition permit was obtained, and demolition has already begun starting this month. Construction completion is also anticipated to be in November of 2024. For the USEDA projects, so we have the Wary building and the School of Health Annex. At our last meeting, we reported that one of the issues was the lien requirements for both buildings. The lien requirement is that it required both building and the land that the building sits on. So the School of Health Annex sits on the main campus property, and the Wary building is on Dean Circle, a lot. There were two paths forwards that were determined. One of them is to get an interagency agreement between USDA and USEDA to share property needs. The other was to get the properties surveyed and subdivided. So the land for the School of Health Annex is now with Department of Land Management, DLM. That should be completed in the next couple of weeks. Both these buildings we bid together as one project with one contractor. The design is complete for both buildings, Wary and School of Health. The DLM zone and height variances have been obtained for the Wary building. The bid documentation for USEDA review is on hold until the School of Health Annex, building subdivision, and lien issues are sorted out. The target of submitting those bid documents to USEDA for review is next month in March. Budgets, there was a revised cost estimate that was provided by the architect for the project, indicating the project cost shortfall has grown by an additional 46 million. The estimated budget for the Wary building is now at 12.9 million, and the School of Health Annex is at 6.8 million. Supplemental funds are being sought with internal endowment as a last resort, the OG Endowment Fund, and the governor. This is subject to resolution 23-05, which will be presented by the investment. The Guam Cultural Repository is reported by the president. The grant for that was closed in December 2022. The MOU between UOG and the Department of Internal Affairs was entered for UOG to stand up and operate that facility for 3 years. The committee was briefed that the land that the GCR sits on was intended to be transferred to UOG, but it was never completed. It's still property of the government of Guam. UOG recently switched auditing companies, and they are currently recommending to write off the GCR building and land. However, the overall goal is to try and retain ownership as it would impact UOG's financial state. Moving on to life cycle and preventative maintenance. Air conditioning systems, ACs were purchased with higher education emergency funds at 500,000. 20's workshop was awarded a contract as to purchase carrier products for that. GRN was awarded a contract to install all those units, including annual maintenance. So UOG has five one-year option on that service. Marine Lab AC system is currently under bid. Their AC system is different from the rest of the campus. Replacement is anticipated before the end of July this year. For our generators, Pacific Federal Management was awarded the 600 kilowatt generator bid. This is to support the Arthur Library, Micronesian Area Research Center, Global Learning and Engagement, and a computer center. Right now, we're waiting on shipment of that generator. It's currently on the West Coast. The next generator scheduled to be replaced, CMAS, is 175 kilowatt unit, Science Building 100 kilowatts, and Field House 300 kilowatt with housing. Campus lighting, all outdoor lighting using GPA power has been changed to LED. And any dark spots in areas are being addressed with solar light. UOG is waiting for new solar units to have those installed. Siemens is progressing with converting indoor lighting to LED. As far as personnel, FMS strategic hires, all the higher level personnel have been hired. The next step for the department is to hire planners and junior engineers for campus management. They still have vacancies for trade supervisors for refrigeration, mechanical, and electrical, and carpentry.
In these bananas?
What they're trying to do is train within UOG, training
So
some of
one in the back?
workers into the trades to learn some skills. UOG did select a architecture and engineering firm for their IDIQ. It's for a 5-year contract, and their scope includes facilities master plan, updates to C grant and F-score facilities, rezone and subdivisions, and developing UOG building standards. For the Siemens project, the committee was briefed that they had an order for 1.4 million in materials that needed to be paid, and they paid that with reserve funds. There are documents with that project that are stuck with the agency office. Again, just a reminder that that project scope is related to installing solar panels in school business and public administration, building automation for the school business and school education buildings, and lighting upgrades. For funding, UOG has actually for safety, this was an update to the committee. The committee was briefed that there are active break-ins into the buildings around the circle area. So the safety office is looking at adding an additional route for security checks in that area. And another one was blocking off the entrance to the circle. Students security force, as of October, there haven't been any applicants. One of the issues was the inflexibility of the salary rate to incentivize students to apply. And this is the subject of a resolution that we can be following this committee report. UOG Green, there wasn't any updates made to our committee, but Mr. Price covered that during his report. And lastly, IT infrastructure, CEO Vince Delacruz briefed to the committee that he has made progress. UOG has been configured and converted to a cloud-based system. So if you recall, a lot of our systems went down during that ransomware attack at the university. And so we've been returning a lot more to normal operations to improve efficiency. Some of the cyber improvements that have been made have been awareness training, two-factor authorization. It's currently working on developing a hybrid online learning pilot study, testing new equipment with a couple of professors. They'll be upgrading cabling, and the last improvement was online transcript request payment system. So if you need an official transcript, you can now do that online and pay online, and don't have to actually physically go to the venues. That was it. That was before.
Thank you. And I think there's a resolution that needs to be introduced.
The resolution, I move to approve resolution 23-04 relative to authorizing to provide flexibility in establishing salaries for the student security program for campus.
Can I get a second?
Regent Malilai seconds.
Thank you. Discussion.
So the board, through resolution number 22-07, established the student security program. At that time, we had set a hard rate of $11 per hour. Universities has not received any interest in this position for the family assignment semester. The university determined that there was a need for flexibility in setting her. The request is that the vice president, administration and finance, chief business officer be given authority to set that rate. The president and the physical facilities committee have reviewed the resolution and the orders and recommend for approval by the board of regents.
Thank you. Thank you, Regent Diaz. And if there are no further questions, concerns, I'd like to go ahead and call for the vote.
Regent Malilai, aye.
Regent Squires, aye. Regent Diaz, aye.
Keeper, aye.
Regent Burrito, aye.
Regent Holoa, aye.
Regent
Guerrero, aye.
Student Regent Laksamana, aye.
Regent Valencia, I.
Thank you, Regents. The ayes have it and motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Regent Diaz. And moving on now to agenda item 5.4, investment committee. Have a complete update from our chair, vice chair, Keeper.
Madam Chair. On February 16, 2023, Investment Committee held a meeting and quorum was present. The first item on the agenda was an update from Triton Investment Club. The fund balance as of February 3rd was $30,041.77. The portfolio had a negative return for 2022 of 33%. However, year to date as of February 3rd was up 9.01%. They are continuing to diversify to help reduce their risk and looking into favorable sectors for 2023. The next agenda item was the investment manager update from Raymond James and Associates, presented by Jason Miyashita and Amanda Gima. The markets picked up during the fourth quarter and ended 2022 with a balance of 22 million, sorry to have given you a heart attack, $22,145,044 as of December 31st. And that was with a negative return of 14.974% for 2022. But it was helped by a rebound in the fourth quarter. The fourth quarter had a pickup of about 5.87% return. Year to date, As of February 14, 2023, the fund continued the momentum with a net of fee return of 5.8% and ending portfolio balance of 24,916,041. This is just a few percentage points down from the level it was at the beginning of 2022. So that's good news. Jason Miyashita noted that Winslow Capital Management, our manager, was up nearly 12% during 2023, but we are still keeping an eye on them and to determine the next meeting if we should put them on a watch list because we're looking at long-term consistency. The rest of the investments appear to be in line with the market. The private equity funds is marked to market, so we didn't have all the information on that performance. But Mr. Miyashita was optimistic about the fund providing solid returns for the long run. The next item for discussion was the conservatively managed portfolio. What that is basically our funds that are very conservatively managed so we can have access to them. We went out for a bid and Vice President of Administration and Finance, Randy Wiegand, explained that the services have been awarded to Raymond James and Associate, who is our current advisor on our other UOG investments. The contract is pending for signature. We expect the funds to be transmitted to Raymond James soon. Amanda Gima provided information on the recommended portfolios for which the funds will be invested, and they will be invested in an ETF portfolio called the Freedom Conservative Strategy. Mr. Miyashita highlighted that the fund is invested in 30% equity and 70% fixed income and cash. This was their recommendation considering our goal and objective for this pool of money. And the recommendation was well received by the committee. And that concludes my update, Madam Chair. And I'd like to move on the action item 5.4.2. Or action item number 5.4.2, we have one resolution number 23-05, relative to authorizing the universities to pledge internal endowment funds for the new Water and Environmental Research Institute building and the School of Health Annex. Madam Chair, I move that resolution number 23-05 be adopted by full board approval.
Thank you, Regent. Can we get a second for that motion?
Regent Holoa seconds the motion, please.
Discussion.
So Vice President Randy Wiegand explained that the grant amount from the United States Economic Development Administration for the Weary building and the nursing annex was about $8.5 million. However, now with the 70% design complete, the architect has estimated that the costs are now about $17 million. The estimates have been provided to USEDA, and they have provided a deadline for filing a report indicating that funding for the project has been secured. So Vice President Wiegand said that he would like to see what happens when the bids actually come in and are received and reviewed. At that time, if there's any way to reduce costs depending on the amount of the bid amount. We have secured $12 million for the project as of now. Therefore, we need to fill the gap. Due to the fact that the funding form needs to be signed this month, Vice President Wiegand advised that there is about $6 million in the internal endowment that is available for use by board action. He emphasized that this will only be used if we have no other source of funding, as this might impact the liquidity needs of the university. The university's administration has met with the endowment board as well as the lieutenant governors to see if other funds can be obtained, and we are optimistic to secure funds outside of this EOG's endowment, internal endowment. The original draft resolution sought to authorize use of about $4 million for the pledge, But the committee members voted to change the wording to up to 6 million so that the president would not need to come back to the board in the event of a further shortfall. The resolution was unanimously passed by the investment committee, and we recommend it to be adopted by the full board.
Thank you, Regent McKeever. And now I'd like to take on a roll call for the motion.
Regent Malilai, aye.
Regent Sukeza, aye. Regent Diaz, aye.
McKeever, aye.
Regent Pepito, aye.
Regent Laholo, aye.
Regent,
Young Guerrero, aye.
Student Regent Laksamana, I.
Regent Valencia, I.
Thank you, Regents. The ayes have it and motion carries unanimously. Thank you for your report, Regent McKeever. Moving on. Agenda item 5.5, Budget, Finance, and Audit Committee. We have our Treasurer, Regent Hall, report.
Thank you, Chair. I promise I'll keep this, my report down to 2 hours. Anyway, this is the budget and audit committee summary. We met on Thursday, February 16, and received an update on the financial condition of the university. Staff provided comments on the overall financial condition of the university. We showed a table showing the decline in appropriation in recent years. But there is no budget to fill them, and also, but the vacancies need to be filled, and there's no budget to fill the vacancies. We are developing strategy to meet with the new senators of the 37th Guam legislature to see if they can find some sympathetic ears. The matter could turn dire soon, as for the fiscal year 23, there was $2 million and in funds and USD loan funds that are available to the university. Those funds won't be there the next year as the university and the university receive their flat appropriation. They will need to find a way to cut $3 million from the already being budget. In addition to this, the university needs $3.6 million to begin funding the long overdue faculty salary increases and the $2.1 million that the government is going to pursue the 22% salary increase proposed by the governor. Thus, the university is going to require a significant increase in appropriations for fiscal year 2024. The strategy is to first meet with the new senators and then try to find other senators might be friendly to the university. Regarding the allotments, the university continues to receive the allotments on a timely basis. The weekly payment from the Department of Administration continues to be received in a timely manner. Going back to the financial statements, the committee likely reviewed the financial statements for the period ending December 31st, 2022. The vice president of the university explained that during the first quarter of the fiscal year, there is a significant lag that complicates the review. Basically, what happens is that a lot of the bills are committed to pay, but the income, again, will be coming on a monthly basis from the administration. That's why there's a lag. There are not many expenditures recorded as much as the month of October is spent setting up new purchase orders. And most December invoices are not received by January on the cutoff date. Thus, 3 full months of revenue are present, but little more than 1 month of expenses is noted. Controller Martin provided a light overview of the financial statements. Kubika walked through the budget to actual report. She cautioned that the report should be viewed with caution for the same reason as the financial statements. Associate Controller Bert Flores presented the correction report and said $41,000 collected, which is a little behind the target collection of $200,000. However, they were about the same. They were the same time last year and ended up achieving the goal. We've been very successful in the collection of money that we do. We did go to a new collection agency and it's been very helpful. Going back to the procurement report. Reagan walked through the procurement activity report. Most of the items were pass-through items were funds received from grants and other contracts. The acceptance was $113,000 to upgrade the campus booster pump, $700,000 for the insurance coverage for the year, and $261,000 for the security guard services for the year, and $127,000 for meals for dorm student residents. Again, these, meals for dorm residents are being charged and they are paid by the students. Audit update. Right there, Reagan reported that a significant audit issue has arisen. This is a concern. The prior audit firm has been comfortable with depreciating the Guam Cultural Repository building for years and see what happens at the end of the 2 years. However, the new auditors took a look at the entire cost of property should be written off the books with this audit. We explained that we try to push back hard and that the audit partner said he would take another look at it. It is bad to have a large runoff on the books as the West accreditors will be taking a close look at these financial statements. Mr. Reagan is preparing some materials for the SDPP to take to the governor to see if the land under repository can be transferred to the University of Guam. This is further mentioned what Mr. Diaz mentioned. On the CB's update, the university received a response from the Office of the Attorney General. The OAG has refused to sign a loan agreement for the following borrowing for the CB's project. CB's had an order pending the offender for a couple of months and had advised the university. If the matter were not resolved by February 2023, the order would have to be canceled and prices would invariably increase. I'm going to talk a little bit more about this. One of the conditions of the funding that came to the bank was that they needed to have not only the governor sign off, but they also needed the Attorney General to acknowledge that the loan documents are in order and that the responsibility of the university is great. But however, the Attorney General doesn't believe that. He says that no, you don't need to do that. You know? And that might be an issue going down the line. We advise the defender to request the loans will not go through. In other words, if you don't get the funding, then we're going to have to go back and try to get the funding back. We will try to get the loan agreement signed. He also said that every day the project's delayed, the university foregoing savings will be gained from the energy efficiency initiatives. This is off the record, but what I'm going to attempt to do when I go back to the bank, I will sit down with the parties to be, explain the situation. I think I'm going to try to approach this and try to get this changed. At least this gets this funding to university because the senior project has been very beneficial. The expenses have come down, and it's without a doubt, the university of Guam is saving funds. But the longer we wait, the longer this thing is not done, then whatever gains that we were supposed to get from the lower payment, it's going to evaporate. Risk officer update. We do have a risk officer in this part of the region, where that the hotline is about to be launched. There will be 3 ways to submit a fraud, waste, or abuse tip to university. By the hotline, phone, by email, and through the website. All tips will remain anonymous. She also reported that she's had completion of the audit manual and has some small audit projects underway. This is great because nowadays, whenever you go to the audit institution, especially dealing with federal funds, you have to have a risk officer. This will assure that the federal funds is being watched and carefully monitored. We have new business. I have actually 2 resolutions. The first resolution is 5.5.5, resolution number 23-06, relative to approving the fiscal year general operation budget and special appropriation budget. This is the main budget for the university. This is requested by our BFA committee.
Thank you for the motion. Can I have a second, please?
Regent McKeever, second.
Okay, thank you. You can have discussion on that.
Thank you. Discussion and motion. Okay. As mentioned, The current situation of the budget for the fiscal year 2024, the university is seeking a appropriation of 22 million. This includes 1 million for deferred maintenance budget, 3.6 million for faculty salary adjustments, 2.1 million for the 22% employee pay increases proposed by the government, and funds to address the filing of the more than 70 critical vacancies of the university. The resolution is unanimously passed by the committee. We recommend this to be adopted by the full board of regents.
Thank you. With that, I'd like to call for a roll call vote.
Regent Malilai, aye.
Regent Surchesa, aye. Regent Diaz, aye.
And McKeever, aye.
Regent Polito, aye.
Regent Nahoa, aye.
Regent
Guerrero, aye.
Student Regent Laksamana, aye.
Regent Valencia, I.
Thank you, Regents. The ayes have it, and the motion carries unanimously.
We have a second action requested by the BSA committee. That's resolution number 22-07 relative to approving the revised university and law delegation of authority policy. I'd like to make a motion.
Thank you for the motion. Do we have a second, please?
Regent Malilai seconds.
Thank you. Discussion.
Thank you. Board of Regents approved the delegation of authority policy which required large memorandums of understanding to be approved by the Office of the Attorney General. The policy being amended to require MOUs to be sent to the OAT only if there is some other requirement for it. This will formalize that the signature of the Attorney General will not be required for the Seekers project. The OAT has already refused to sign the MOU, stating there is no legal requirement to approve it. The BFA committee unanimously supported this resolution, and we recommend its full approval by the full board. There's a little wrinkle. What basically happened is that before the vote votes on this board, the BFA discussed that the resolution with the general counsel after the committee and general counsel indicated it would be helpful to add one additional sentence to a note in the attachment of the resolution. Note 3 of written would require the president to sign a large volume of memorandum of understanding. It was suggested that the following sentence be added to the attachment. Quote, the president may further delegate the signing of the MOU as appropriate. Quote, I believe the amendment to the resolution is in order and would that the additional sentence be accepted by the board. Also, let me just I got it. Okay, so as mentioned, the member of understanding signed by the president and all other required parties. In other words, the president may further delegate the signing of the MOU as appropriate. So I think this is in order to help out with the transfer of funds and also the MOUs that need to be approved. And having that.
Okay, thank you. So the motion on the floor, I'm just going to go down to resolution number 7 was approving the Vice University of Law delegation of authority policy with the amendment to the signature approval process one. Signing to include the president's authority to further delegate signing of MOU staff appropriate.
Right.
Okay. All right. Okay. So with that, do we have any questions on the amendment? Not. I would like to call for a roll call vote.
Madam Chair, for the amendment, can I confirm the second? Who made the second for the amendment?
So we have a motion.
Let me make the second on the amendment,
Okay.
not on the resolution, on the amendment.
Okay. So, okay, let me go back then and need to get a motion for the amendment. Okay, so
Yeah, I made a motion.
Yes, we just need a second.
Regent Leon Guerrero, second.
Regionally, I second. Okay, all right, and so we have a second. We've already went go discussion, and so let me go ahead and take a roll call on the amendment. So
Regent Malili, I.
Regent Surtesa, I. Regent Diaz, I.
Regent McKeever, aye.
Regent Trujillo, aye.
Regent Nahalua, I.
Student Regent Laksamana, I.
Regent Valencia, I.
Okay, thank you. The ayes have it and the motion carries unanimously. So going back now to the original motion, let's just go back and just restate the motion. First,
For the first,
the motion.
okay. That's the first one, that's easy. Here, listen.
Yeah, Madam Chair, just to clarify, the motion was made by Regent Nahalua, seconded by Malili. We just finished the amendment, now you're approving the motion as amended.
Okay.
So you can also vote if there's no further discussion.
Okay, so we do have a motion that was originally made and then seconded, so we can actually call roll call now for the original motion. The first motion,
Resolution 23-27.
Regent Malili.
Regent Malili, I.
Regent Surtesa, I. Regent Diaz, I.
Regent McKeever, aye.
Regent Trujillo, aye.
Regent Nahalua, I.
Aye.
Student Regent Laksamana, I.
Regent Valencia, I.
Okay, thank you. The ayes have it again and the motion carries unanimously. Okay, thank you for your report, Treasurer Nahalua. Let's move on now then to agenda item 5.6. Executive Committee 5.6.1 update to the 2023 presidential search process. Actually, we're pleased to report that Regent Diaz was nominated to serve as the chair for the presidential search committee. And so what I'd like to do is have Regent Diaz make a report on behalf of the executive committee.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So the PSC committee has met 3 times. The job announcement for the president was officially announced on February 1st, 2023. The closing date for the announcement is March 17, 2023. After the closing date, the committee is charged with reviewing all the applications.
Thank you. Okay, so it looks like in terms of the timeline, we're pretty much still on course, and by April, we should have some collection recommendations from the presidential search committee. Okay, with that, let's move on to item 6.0, ad hoc report from the endowment foundation update. Do we have our Pat? Pat, are you there?
Yes, half a day.
Thank you.
Half a day, Madam Chair Provito and members of the Board of Regents, thank you all for giving me the opportunity to report. Most recently, over $85,000 was raised during our annual G is for Giving campaign that occurred between November and December. This is a grassroots effort to raise awareness and funds that benefit the University of Guam based on the donors' passions and interests. And this campaign allows donated funds to be pooled together to award meaningful scholarships or to raise funds that can benefit programs and research. In conjunction with the UOG Triton Athletics Department, the UOG Endowment Foundation held its 2nd annual Triton Baseball Invitational Tournament from January 20th through February 12th. And special thanks go out to our fellow sponsors, University of Guam, Take Care, and BT International. And thanks to them for joining the celebration of bringing back UOG baseball to our athletics program. The Pirates, by the way, won this tournament. In the coming year, donations and sponsor funds will be used to help support the following projects and events. There will be an upcoming Taiwan-Guam Austronesian Arts exhibit at the Guam Museum through the newly established Asia Pacific Studies Center project. The PMBA cohort capstone project called Hover X will utilize drones to to deliver healthcare kits to remote areas in Pohnpei. And in March, we'll have another Kavalan-sponsored fundraising event to benefit the Taiwan Scholarship for ALS Student Exchange. And of course, April 11th through the 15th, the Conference on Island Sustainability, Rediscover the Depths of Our Island Abundance, will be held at the Hyatt Regency Guam. And April 29th will be the annual Emeritus Scholarship Fundraising Luncheon. And of course, Scholarship Award for Fanyam 23 and academic year 2023 to 2024 will be announced. UOG Endowment Foundation is very honored to be conduits for philanthropy from its donors, and we are grateful for the valuable partnership with UOG personnel in reaching out to these donors. Notable donations and/or other payments received in the past couple of months include $200,000 donation from the Jackson Yang and Family Foundation to benefit the Asia Pacific Studies Project, with a pledge for additional $200,000 per year for the next 2 years. And so special thanks go out to the Taipei Economic and Cultural Office, SVP Anita Enriquez, and CNAS Dean Liu Dean for being very instrumental in achieving this donation and these pledges for the next couple of years. $75,000 was received from Calvo Enterprises for their capital campaign annual pledge commitment. $65,000 grant from the Poetry Foundation to benefit was received to benefit UOG Press. Special thanks to Lola Leon Guerrero for submitting that grant application. $26,600 from Judiciary of Guam to benefit the Regional Center for Public Policy for Judiciary Evaluation Work, and that was through Dr. Gina Rojas. $7,000 was received from Pacific Fruits as sponsorship for the UOG 70th Anniversary Platinum Jubilee. Thank you, Norman Analista. $5,000 from the ADA's Trust and Investment for the General Endowment as part of their annual gift. $5,000 from the Kurt S. Moylan Foundation for the KSM Scholarship. This is the second time that they provided this donation. And $5,000 received from a new anonymous donor for a new scholarship. And $5,000 from NGO to create a new scholarship for engineering students. Special thanks go out to Dr. Patil for facilitating this meeting. And the last one, $5,000 from NASA EPSCoR Guam to sponsor the Conference on Island Sustainability. So as you interact with members of these organizations, please take the opportunity to thank them for their continued partnership in supporting the University of Guam. This concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Moving on, we have agenda item 7.0 presentation, and it's my understanding that we do not have anyone open presentation. So with that, moving on to item 8.0 executive session. This time I'd like to get a motion on executive session.
I move to move, the Regent Diaz moves to go into executive session.
Thank you. Second.
Regent Malilai seconds.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Oh, okay, I'm sorry, we're gonna have to still do roll call, we have to be consistent, it's a standard practice. Okay, so let's start with Regent Malilai.
Regent Malilai, aye.
Regent Certeza, aye. Regent Diaz, aye.
Jimmy Keever, aye.
Regent Rubio, aye.
In the whole, aye.
Regent Leon Guerrero, aye.
Student Regent Laksamana, aye.
Regent Valencia, aye.
Okay, thank you, the ayes have it, motion carries unanimously. We're now going to move into executive session. So, okay, thank you.
So Madam Chair, give us a time, a minute to reset, going to close YouTube.
Oh, actually, if I may say for the